Alabama, let me tell you. Oh, yeah, my little Keith Jackson.
Uncanny.
Yes,
well done.
Good Keith Jackson for you. Penn State beats Youngstown State, they're supposed to. Looking ahead now, they got the #1 team in the nation who's pretty well loaded again, played very well against San Jose State last week.
Yep.
I think that the key guys against Youngstown State, the Brett Brackett's, the linebacker, who was the guy?
Chris Colasandi.
Okay.
Great game, yeah.
Stepped up. Chaz Powell stepped up. Robert Bolt. These guys need to come up big again. This can't be one-hit wonders for these guys, okay? What are your thoughts with Alabama? What can you learn? I mean, I don't know if this is going to be a win on Saturday against the Crimson Tide, but I think you can still have some positives come out of it. What are you looking for as a writer when you go down to Tuscaloosa?
Just came from Joe's press conference, and I was really struck with the fact that he said a number of things. It was kind of an ongoing thing throughout the press conference that indicate to me that he doesn't think they can win. I mean, he actually said, I feel like we're outmanned. You can learn from this game, but it's tough to have a lot of success because they're so good. I mean, he really sounded like he doesn't think they can win. I'm kind of astounded that the betting line opened at 10. I thought it should have been more than that. It's since gone up to 12. I think it'll probably go up a little more.
Excuse me, Jimmy the Greek here.
Sorry.
Could there be a little bit of rope-a-dope on his part? Is he trying to suck Alabama into thinking we're outmanned for you?
Well, I think maybe it is. That's entirely possible. But I mean, I don't see that being effective. I think this is not only a tough game in the context of the two football teams. I think it's a real tough spot in the schedule. For Penn, I think it's a tough time for Penn State to be playing this game. They haven't been tested yet. There's no way that Alabama, I don't think, is going to be taking them lightly. I think Alabama will look at last week as kind of like a scrimmage, and now it's going to get serious. I mean, Penn State is still nationally ranked, and they're still Penn State. They're still they're still a name. So I just think this is. You could see this coming at a different spot in the season, and maybe Penn State would have some of the psychology and the mental and emotional stuff go their way. I don't see that at all.
It's interesting. I think if they just had a glorified scrimmage against Youngstown State, if they could have Kent State next or even Temple next and built up to this, but you just went from 3 foot of water to 10 foot of water.
That's very true, and it's a tough spot. And you talked about some of the guys that were big last week that have to be big again. I think Penn State is good at the skill position. I think their wide receivers are fine. I think they're running. I think they're very good at the running back position. That is. I don't think that's the problem. It's whether they can block good people. I mean, it's so much of this is offensive line, and we found apparently they found a quarterback last week in this freshman who was just terrific, Robert Bolden. But are they going to be able to block a team like Alabama? That is dubious. They did not run the ball effectively. Joe said he was very, we're not even close to being good enough on the offensive front, and he's right. That's going to be the issue, and I think that's going to be the issue throughout the season.
I think they're going to have to establish the run against Alabama.
And that's going to be very difficult to do.
And Royster, he's a senior. I mean, this guy came back. We were surprised he came back and didn't go pro. He has a chance to be the all-time leading rusher at Penn State. And I read in your column, the word is he's heavy right now.
Well, Joe said last week that he thinks he's overweight. I've been telling him. Joe says, I'm telling this kid he's got to lose some weight. He's not going to have the endurance. I asked Joe about that today. I said, Did Royster's performance last week sort of convince him that he's overweight? And Joe kind of backed off. He said, he's not overweight anymore. And I was more worried about his endurance and his stamina than anything else. And we'll be able to, put him out in the slot and so forth and find ways to get him the ball. So Joe kind of poo-pooed it, as they say today, but I think it's a little bit of an issue, and I think you're going to see 3 running backs. I think you're going to see Stephon Green and Silas Redd as well as Royster, both of whom look better than Royster on Saturday.
You need to give him the experience out there. I hope you'll also see a little bit of Newsome. Now, I liked Bolden. I thought Bolden was more polished than what I saw as a freshman of Terrell Pryor when he went to Ohio State.
By far. He's much more advanced in terms of the fundamentals of footwork and all that kind of stuff for the passing game. No question.
But Newsome, in the backup quarterback, he came in for a few plays. You mentioned in your column, gives him a little change of direction, a little change out there that's something else to game plan for.
And I think it's very possible that Bolden and Newsome will be in the game at the same time.
They can complement each other.
They'll throw some stuff like that at him.